representative is Marty Coley, and she does a phenomenal job. She is one of the most respected people that may have ever served in the Florida legislature, and I look up to her. We're very lucky to have her. And your senator, I know pretty well, he's my dad, Don Gaetz, and he said to send his best this morning. We both had to get up at about 4:30. He was flying down to Tampa, and I was coming here, so I think y'all can tell who got the better end of that. I'd rather be here than down in Tampa. I thought we could talk a little bit about how far the state has come in the last few years and where we're going. I was elected in 2010, and so I'll kind of compare where we are today to where we were in 2010. You know, when I was running for office back then, I was trying to learn more about my district, and so I would go knock on doors. I knocked on about 8,000 doors. I remember one of them, I was in Shalimar, and I knocked on this door, and these ladies all answered. They were probably in their mid-60s. They were all holding empty margarita glasses in the middle of the afternoon. So there I was, all covered in sweat, walking all day. And before I could make my little pitch and give them my card, they said, "You must be the stripper." It was apparently one of their birthdays. And I said, well, no, I'm Matt Gaetz. I'm running for state representative. And they said, well, if you're the stripper, we'll all vote for you. You pray about whether or not to seek public office. God never tells you if you're going to win or lose. And I didn't know if I was going to win or lose, but I knew I was getting 9 votes. I'll tell you all how I got all the $1 contributions to my campaign. But, we have come a long way since 2010. When I was elected, Florida, we were really on the rocks. Growth was stagnant. Every year, more businesses were leaving our state. No new people were coming to the state. And we were really concerned because when we have declining revenues, then we're not able to do the things we need to do to take care of the vulnerable and fund our education system and take care of our state workers. So we were worried. In 2010, the unemployment rate in the state of Florida was 11.4%. Today, it's 7.1%. It's the second sharpest decline in the unemployment rate in the entire country. In 2010, 400,000 people were on unemployment in Florida. Today, that's down to 250,000. Been cut dramatically. In 2010, since 2010, the businesses of our state have created 330,000 new private sector jobs. And you figure, well, if I already have a job, why am I worried about a new job created for somebody else? In Florida, our history shows that the economy is either growing or it's shrinking. We don't really stay, the same. And so if we're growing, then all of our jobs are more secure. All of our futures economically are more secure. And so we have to keep that path going. So how did we get there? It wasn't an accident that since 2010 we've improved our economy, and it won't continue automatically if we don't continue to do the things necessary to stay on the right path. I think one of the reasons things got a lot better is that we started getting rid of some of the crazy regulations that were on the books. When I was elected, every time I wanted to do something innovative or new, folks would say, well, Matt, you can't do that because of the APA. I didn't want to seem dumb, so I didn't ask them what that was. I just figured it was some powerful special interest that nobody could beat. But the APA is the Administrative Procedures Act in the state of Florida. And in the state of Florida, we had over 30,000 rules and regulations on the books. And these were rules and regulations that no politician had ever even voted for. These were things that bureaucrats had gone and promulgated, rules. And I didn't think in the state of Florida we needed 9 pages of regulations to tell us how big a swimming pool drain has to be. I didn't think we needed 17 pages of regulations to tell you how to transport a frozen dessert. And so since 2010, we have repealed or revised over 4,100 of those 30,000 rules and regulations. I think that's progress because when you kind of peel back the extent to which government is borrowing deep into people's lives, it creates more of an environment where people can make their own decisions about whether they want to take their business or how they want to grow a company. And I think that's one reason we've been successful. Another reason is that when we had declining revenues, and those were tough days, we didn't do what all these other states did, or all these other major metropolitan areas. We didn't raise taxes. We had to make some tough cuts. Some of them hurt. But we didn't do like New York State, Illinois, California, Detroit. And now we're growing, and those places are seeing folks leave faster than ever before in their history. So to have the right tax climate, the right regulatory climate, I think it's really put us on a good path economically. One of the big threats, I think, to our economy moving forward, and the issue that I think we need to address as the state in the upcoming session, is the issue of insurance. Now, we've got an insurance agent with us, so you can correct the record if I say anything wrong. But we as a state got in the insurance business when we created Citizens Insurance. And now Citizens is the largest provider of insurance in Florida. And each one of you pays for it, even if you're not a Citizens policyholder. Because if you look at the insurance bill you get, there's always an assessment, a tax that you pay, even if you have State Farm or Allstate, where you're subsidizing the risk that someone down on the coast is taking to have, a multi-million-dollar house on the Gulf that nobody else will insure. And you're paying for it. And I don't think that's right. I don't think we ought to have some people subsidizing the risk of other people. I think that's more like a communist system. That's not a free enterprise system. And so one of the things we have to do to keep costs down so that we can grow businesses and bring new businesses to our area is reduce that subsidizing of risk for folks that are down on the coast. Now, these are not popular things for me to say in my district because I represent the coast. I represent places like Destin. But I just don't think it's fair. And so I hope y'all will help me and as we try to educate other members of the legislature that we need Citizens to be smaller so that you're not having to pay for it. We can bring new insurance companies into the state and drive down the cost of insurance. Because that is one of the biggest threats, I think, to our economy moving forward. Because a business that would come here or grow here doesn't know what their insurance burden will be tomorrow. So another thing we've got to do, another area of reform we've got to look at to make sure that we keep this vibrant economy, keep all of our positive momentum going, is our education system. Now, I'm glad to say that when we got extra money this last year from a growing economy, we took $1 billion and added it to our education budget. And here in Holmes County, we saw the benefit of that. Each school in Holmes County got an increase in funding this last year. We're expected to have even more money this next year, not because we've got more taxes, but we've got more taxpayers. And so I hope that we make the decision to continue to make that investment in our public education system. Now we need some new schools here. We got some schools that are old and need repair, and we're probably going to need some new schools as we continue to grow. And one thing I need to fight against, and I might need your help, is I don't think we ought to be spending your money, your tax dollars, to build private charter schools. I think we ought to spend our tax dollars to help build public schools. I think charter schools are great. People that want to start them, I wish them the best of luck. But they're private businesses, and they really shouldn't have the government spend money for them, when we ought to be spending that money to make sure that our public schools are in the condition we'd like to see them. So that's one reform we're going to have to work on in the upcoming years.